Now, Congress seems to be a divided house when it comes to restricted use nod that Bharat Biotech's Covaxin has received. In fact, Congress spokesperson Randeep Surjewala hailed the scientists and researchers of Bharat Biotech and Serum Institute, calling it a great start for the New Year's. This comes after senior party leaders Shashi Tharoor and JaiRam Ramesh raised concerns over Covaxin being granted approvals for restricted use. Tharoor called the approval premature, asking people to avoid its use until full trials are over. Another party leader, JaiRam Ramesh, sought Health Minister's clarification on why internationally accepted protocols on Phase 3 trials were being modified. Civil Aviation Minister, meanwhile, slammed the Congress leaders, raising questions on approval to Bharat Biotech's vaccine, calling them in-house cynics.
My own view is that once the specialists, the epidemiologists, the virologists, the regulators have applied their mind and actually licensed a vaccine for emergency use or otherwise for mass proliferation. I think that should really settle the matter, because ultimately nobody should try and substitute their opinion for the opinion of somebody who's actually spent a lifetime doing this. And I think there is enough institutional integrity in our medical fraternity to be able to really distinguish between what is safe and what could perhaps be unsafe.
The world is facing an unprecedented crisis in COVID. World over, the vaccines that have come have been fast-tracked. The Oxford vaccine or Bharat Biotech, they have all followed the norms. I think it is priority for us to save lives, and India has done exceedingly well in keeping the mortality rate at a very, very low level. In fact, we have done much better than developed countries like America, and United Kingdom and others. Take pride in the fact that the government of India has done things proactively, and the drug controller has taken all the appropriate steps.
सवाल करना करें, उसमें कोई दिक्कत नहीं है, लेकिन हमारे वैज्ञानिकों पर तो भरोसा रखें। जो वैज्ञानिक कह रहे हैं कि सारे प्रोटोकॉल के साथ हो रहा है, ये लोग वो हैं कि छुप करके लगवा लेंगे और लोग को इस तरह की बातों में भ्रम में रखेंगे, और वो दूसरे कारण से कह रहे हैं। मैं उस पर अभी टीका टिप्पणी नहीं कर रहा हूँ, किसी ने कुछ और उसके ऊपर टीका टिप्पणी की है, इसके कारण वो राजनीतिक दृष्टि से बोल रहे हैं।
Now, 2 vaccines against coronavirus have been approved for India. The Drugs Controller General of India today granted emergency use authorization for Serum Institute of India's Covishield and Bharat Biotech's Covaxin. Now, India's first indigenous vaccine, Covaxin there, gets a nod. Both these vaccines will be administered in 2 doses each. The DCGI's approval comes after a subject expert committee of the Central Drugs Standard Control Organization recommended that these 2 vaccines be used for emergency purposes across of India. Prime Minister Narendra Modi welcomed the DCGI's decision and said that the approval of 2 vaccines is a decisive turning point to strengthen a spirited fight. Meanwhile, Serum Institute's Adar Poonawalla also shared his joy on Twitter over Covishield getting emergency approval, saying that the vaccine is ready to roll out in coming weeks and possibly one can buy it at a chemist by March.
Phase 2 clinical trials were conducted in approximately 800 subjects, and results have demonstrated that the vaccine is safe and provides a robust immune response. The Phase 3 efficacy trial was initiated in India in 25,800 volunteers, and till date, approximately 22,500 participants have been vaccinated across the country, and the vaccine has been found to be safe as per the data available till date. The subject expert committee has reviewed the data on safety and immunogenicity of the vaccine and recommended for grant of permission for restricted use in emergency situation in public interest as an abundant precaution in clinical trial mode. After detailed deliberations, subject expert committee has recommended for the grant of permission for restricted use in emergency situation subject to certain regulatory conditions. The clinical trial ongoing within the country by the firm will continue.
So I think it's a great day for our country, and it's a very good way to start the new year. And both the vaccines are made in India, and one of them is actually a make in India because it's a vaccine which has been, the research has been done here, and it's truly from scratch an Indian vaccine. But I think the reason why it's a very great moment is that unlike in the past where we had to rely on imports for various products, whether it be PPE or N95, now we have vaccines which are being manufactured in India, and therefore we don't have to rely on vaccines coming from outside. And they're cost effective, they're easy to administer between 2 to 8 degrees centigrade, which is what can be done in an ordinary fridge. And we already have a very strong backbone of a universal immunization program.
Everybody cannot get vaccinated in one go. So it will be initially for these workers. So people have to wait, but before the whole process is completed, it takes months and months. And also there is some skepticism, and also there is some anxiety among people that whether this vaccine is going to work against this mutant or the UK strain. So as per the vaccine specialists, definitely it will work against this new virus strain also.
Now, India Today's news director Rahul Kanwal spoke to Serum Institute chief Adar Poonawalla on Covishield getting the nod. Here's his explanation on how soon will the vaccine be rolled out, how soon can one get it at a chemist store, and what's the process of the rollout. Take a listen.
So the whole world's been awaiting these vaccines, but because the world is in the middle of a live pandemic, the regulatory processes have been speeded up, and there are questions about the efficacy of your vaccine and of all other vaccines as well. From what I've understood, it's been declared that the Serum Institute vaccine Covishield has an efficacy of 70%. What does that mean? Does that mean that if 10 people get the vaccine, it will be effective on 7? What happens to the other 3? Can you explain what efficacy means in the context of Covishield?
Okay, so let me explain in the context of Covishield first and what efficacy really is here. You know, we have proven in our trials that we have 100% efficacy on hospitalization. So 0 hospitalizations were found in the people who took the Covishield vaccine globally, which is a great thing, which means it protects you against severe disease. You could still get infected, pass it on to others, because all the vaccines that we've heard about will not prevent infection totally. In half of the people who have got vaccinated, you'll still be infected and can infect others, but you will be protected. So if you saw the efficacy results of Moderna, Pfizer, which was 95%, in AstraZeneca and Oxford, which is the Covishield product, we were at 70% for one arm and 90% for the other. And that's going to be made very clear as well. We are recommending also to the government of India that you keep a 2.5 to 3 month gap. And this is very important for the viewers and everyone listening, that if you keep a 2.5 to 3 month gap between the first shot of Covishield and the second shot of Covishield, you will have a 90% efficacy. This is proven and even announced by the CEO of AstraZeneca, Pascal, publicly, I think a week ago. And even that data will come out very soon because this was the second arm of the study and efficacy studies that was done abroad. So again, just to summarize, there are only 2 or 3 vaccines in the world, Pfizer, Moderna, the Oxford AstraZeneca, and I think Sinovac as well, that have proven efficacy results. There is no other vaccine, including ours, made in India and others, Russia, China, or even India, that have proven efficacy at all. And efficacy means you have to vaccinate 25,000 people and show that the vaccine actually protects you, not just a few hundred or a few thousand people to show safety and immunogenicity. So just to clarify, that is what Covishield has done. And we are one of 3 vaccines in the world, 3 or 4 vaccines in the world to have demonstrated efficacy. Nobody else has done that.
How soon will the first batch of boxes that we saw in the cold storage facility of Serum Institute in Pune be leaving your manufacturing facilities and start taking those flights at Pune airport to all the distribution hubs that are waiting after the dry runs? How soon do you see this process start?
So, well, Rahul, as you rightly said, you firsthand witnessed and shot 50 million doses that were prepared and tested and packed, ready for dispatch. And, you know, as soon as the government has a firm agreement with us, they've indicated orally they want 70 to 80 million doses over the next 1 or 1.5 months. And they tell us where to send it. We'll send it across. And so I think another 7 to 10 days would be realistic for a few million doses to start reaching different states and parts of the country.
What, as soon as we have a firm agreement, means? Why don't we have an agreement already? Which are the loopholes, the questions, the concerns that remain, and how soon do you hope to be able to sign that agreement, and what is causing the delay?
Well, there's no real agreement even required. We're just waiting for some purchase orders, which is formal, normal paperwork to be done so that we can, you know, pack and dispatch the material and send it off. So we've offered a price where we're not going to make a lot of profit at all. In fact, we've offered a very special price of 200 rupees per dose. As you know, in the private market, we're going to sell it at 1,000. So you can see what we've done for the government and the people of India initially, because we want the poorest, the needy, the most vulnerable people to get the vaccine as soon as possible. And so we're just waiting for these formalities. There's no hitch at all. Maybe they were waiting for the licensure formally to come. Maybe that's the government policy. And then after that, they do the paperwork. But I would expect that very soon this week, given the announcement that came earlier on today from the DCGI.
Now, of course, I'm sure all of us are waiting to understand what these vaccines really mean. Several questions that have been risen now. Chetty brings us some answers. Frequently asked questions on COVID vaccines. Let's take a listen.
The first question, has Indian vaccine been approved? The simple answer is yes, for emergency use only for now. Number 2, how many doses would you need? The simple answer to that is you need 2 doses. Number 3, what is going to be the mode of delivery? It is going to be intramuscular injection. That is the mode of delivery for these vaccines. The 4th frequently asked question is, what will be the interval of the jabs that you end up taking? It is going to be 3 weeks to 4 weeks. Number 5, let's pull that out for you. Are clinical trials over? No. Phase 3 trials are ongoing. The 6th question, what efficacy does the vaccine offer? 60% for Covaxin and 70% for Covishield. Covaxin is the Bharat Biotech one, and Covishield is the one which is the Oxford AstraZeneca manufactured by the Serum Institute of India. The 7th question is, how many volunteers were vaccinated? At Covaxin, you saw 22,500 volunteers, 23,745 participants for Covishield. The next question on everyone's mind is, what is really an emergency nod? This is a question that is being asked very frequently. It is nothing but limited approval to fight the pandemic. The data to be collected and studied further. The human trials will continue going forward. Now, the other all-important question, what are the side effects of these vaccines? Mostly none. You may feel muscular pain, soreness at injection site as well. So those are the common side effects of the vaccine. Who all will get the vaccine first? It is definitely going to be the healthcare workers, the elderly, the comorbidity patients who will get the first jabs. What is going to be the tentative price of such vaccines? Maybe for free for frontline workers. The prices are still not out yet for the rest. The 12th question, can people really afford not to take the vaccine? No, they cannot rely on herd immunity at the moment.
Now, India Today's news director spoke to India's vaccine mission head, VK Paul of the Niti Aayog. Here's what he said.
The phase 3 clinical trials are still going on.
the efficiency data is not available, not just to us but also to government, and you've gone ahead and given emergency use licensure. Now the question is, while of course everyone is desperately waiting for a vaccine and they want it to be rolled out as soon as possible so that people can get the injection, get on with their lives, but are we rushing the process through? What is it that you wish to say to those who are skeptics, who are not convinced with the fact that efficiency data is not available, yet clearances have been given? You're hoping, and you've given an elaborate reason for why you believe that it shouldn't have an effect, but shouldn't isn't equal to 100%. So basically, we're giving clearance without being 100%. Is that correct?
Well, Rahul, that is why it is emergency use authorization. Remember, an emergency use authorization, even in the case of any other vaccine, is in the face of a relatively less complete data and information. That's why it's an emergency authorization. And remember the other condition, which covers the point that you're making. It is said in the recommendation, and I support that when you use this vaccine, unlike the Covishield vaccine, you will use it in the clinical trial mode. This is a very critical conditionality attached to the use of ICMR Bharat Biotech vaccine. That means those who will receive this vaccine will be followed up and will be treated as if they are part of a clinical trial. They will be consenting to be a part of receiving the vaccine. In any case, all vaccines are voluntary to be taken, and they'll be followed up as if they are in a clinical trial, and they'll be watched, they'll be observed in a very keen manner. And thirdly, remember, the clinical trial goes on, and as it unfolds, as the efficacy data becomes available, further decisions by the DCGI would be taken. So it is, you see, why we have gone for this, I believe, is because there is an emergency situation. It is our guarantee against particularly potential mutations that may vitiate the utility of other vaccines. And God forbid, if we have a massive outbreak of such variants of the virus, we would be in a fix. And this vaccine is therefore a special guarantee for us. At the same time, it is to be operated within the system which is scientifically valid and appropriate under the oversight of the clinical trial regime.
Now, India Today's news director Rahul Kanwal spoke to Professor K. Vijay Raghavan, Principal Scientific Advisor on the vaccine rollout. Let's take a listen.
The efficacy data hasn't been made public, and since the trial is on, the efficacy data isn't final. So yes, you're saying Ram Bharose, Bhagwan ka naam leke, have faith in us and take the vaccine. But like I know, for example, that in Moderna and Pfizer's case it's 94.5, 94. In one case it's 90 plus. In the case of Serum it's 70 plus. In the case of Bharat Biotech, I don't know. So yes, I do, and I'm sure many people will relate to this. We do believe in the idea that you have to get a vaccine, but are we rushing the process too much?
Well, you must again read carefully what the drug controller and the health ministry's statements are. They basically say that the Bharat Biotech vaccine will be given in situations which are carefully monitored in a sort of clinical trial equivalent context, while the third phase clinical trial is independently going on. So those efficacy results will come, they will be evaluated, and an authorization, should everything go okay, will be given. This current situation is for a state where the decisions are being taken in case there is a serious situation which warrants their administration. So you're not going to see, unlike the Serum situation, it rolled out in that level to frontline workers and healthcare workers. And by the time that phase is complete, we're going to see results from the Bharat Biotech third phase trials, and we will know where we stand. And all indications are that one can have an expectation of success there, but until that is over, it's not over.
Chaiti Narula speaks with Dr. Naresh Trehan, Chairman and Managing Director of Medanta Hospital, on the COVID vaccines approval. Let's take a listen.
Two vaccines, Covishield and Covaxin, approved for emergency use in India. While it is a reason to celebrate, it is a reason for hope. But first, let's address the concerns as well at this point.
So basically, it is a reason because to actually be elated in a way, because you can now see the light at the end of the tunnel.
Absolutely.
We have been suffering from this for the last 1 year. And when the appearance of 2 vaccines approved after going through the rigor of scientific scrutiny means that this gives us hope that we shall be able to see the end of this virus by the end of maybe summer. Now, there is celebration, of course, is one point, but what is to be celebrated is the skills of our scientists, of our industry, which has brought it to a stage in less than 1 year where it normally would take many more years. So the point basically is that these 2 vaccines, especially the one, that Oxford one, has been tried in many countries. UK has already approved it. WHO has also welcomed it. Covaxin is now, for the first time, appearing on the scene since yesterday, 2 days ago, when it was sort of cleared by the expert panel, and today cleared by the DCGI. So the data, you must understand that this is done as emergency use approval. What that means is that it is to be still continued as a phase 3 trial, and it is authorized for use in people who are vulnerable.
Now, WHO today hailed India's approval of 2 COVID vaccines for emergency use. WHO said that India is the first country in Southeast Asia to give out approvals. In fact, the World Health Organization further added that this move will help intensify and strengthen the fight against COVID-19 pandemic within the region. WHO also stressed that the use of vaccine in prioritized populations, along with continued implementation of other public health measures and community participation, are imperative to reduce the impact of the pandemic. WHO, in a report released on Friday, said that 4 types of coronavirus variants are circulating the globe, adding that the virus has been mutating and that some of the new strains of the virus are more potent and high transmissibility.
Hello everyone, this is Rahul Kamal here. Hope you enjoyed this video. For the latest news and analysis, like and subscribe the India Today YouTube channel, and don't forget to press the bell icon to stay updated.